Hi, everybody.
Hi everyone.
Welcome back to yet another one.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So, before we start, now I agree with develop a new routine.
Mm-hmm.
So, how are you today?
Oh my
And
god.
how was your day?
Eh, my day was good.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's just the weather.
Okay.
And I actually wanted us to go outside, like even for a walk, because when you stay in the
It's
house
for,
the whole
for too
day, it's
long.
like
Yeah.
you don't know, the day just comes and goes, and you're like,
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
But it's been good. Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah. How has your day
Okay.
been?
My day was good as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yes, kind of a little bit disappointed because I was expecting rain.
It did rain though.
But
Well, not for
it's
long.
like
Yeah.
not for long,
Okay.
so it's not
Okay.
like I was expecting rain, man. Cause
Yeah,
like it's
yeah,
been
I
cloudy
get that.
from the whole morning, so it's like
Even yesterday it was a bit
yeah,
cloudy and it didn't rain.
and there's no rain,
Yeah.
but it's fine nonetheless. It was chill today.
Mm. I feel
Okay.
like also in anticipation of the topic that we're going to be talking about today, I feel
Mm,
like my mood is a bit mellow. I'm just like,
okay.
yeah.
The vibe.
Yeah.
It's okay. Talking about the topic for today.
Hmm.
Today we are talking religion. Religion and
Religion or church? I'm just thinking about it now. Like, well, both.
I'm thinking both,
Yeah.
but I'm thinking religion makes more
Mm-hmm.
sense
Mm.
because this topic gets a little bit sensitive, so I feel like the
Mm.
more specific
Mm.
we are bound to step on some toes. So
Yeah.
that's why I'm saying
Mm-hmm.
religion as a whole, man, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the topic came about because we posted our intro, and
And
one of my friends asked that we talk about religion, and he said he's excited to hear what
our
we have to
views on that,
say about
yes.
religion. And I thought, well, I was actually shocked when you said yes, we can do it.
Yeah, we can.
I thought you were gonna be like, nah, for
Nah.
later,
Yeah,
maybe not
that's
now.
the thing is like it's not like I don't have anything to say around religion. It's just I'm not as religious as a lot of people are,
Mm,
but I do have stuff to say around religion, you know. And
I wouldn't say I'm religious as well. Like I've come now to like not define myself
just
as
as a
religious. It's
religious,
like, nah.
but also not being religious or whatever. I don't think it comes from a bad place. Like no, this is bad or
Mm,
like this. Like we believe in God, guys. We
yeah.
still pray, you
Mm.
know, stuff like that. It's just like we're not super religious. And yeah, it will be interesting to hear what we have to say actually.
I think the thing is with religion, I feel like religion is so much attached to church. Like you
Mm-hmm.
can't have religion without
Without church.
church. And I feel like what we have is that we have a relationship with God. So
Mm-hmm.
like I would say you're a Christian, but it's like without going to church type of thing.
Yeah, you
Because it's
know,
like you believe in Christ and you believe in God, but yeah.
that's I guess it's also how we would define religion as a person.
Mm, mm,
Because for me I feel like um religion is your belief and the faith itself.
mm,
So I don't think necessarily it is so tied up with church. Yes,
yeah,
it is tied up, it's linked, but I don't think like it's super like it's a must. One can't go
yeah,
without the other.
yeah. I get
So
that.
yeah.
Mm,
And also I feel like religion also getting into I'll say the first section,
mm-hmm.
um what you'd say religion is or like what religion means to you.
Mm,
I would say a religion to me, I think it provides a sense of community,
mm-hmm.
a sense of drive, because it's easier to work towards something if you know what you're working towards. You have guidance, so it's easier to, I think, follow,
Mm,
especially if what you're following is worth following. Yeah, it's just a sense of direction, man. Like you don't feel misplaced.
mm,
And for the bigger part, I feel like religion is respect, and a lot of people leave respect out of it. respect and love, and being able to respect and love everyone for their differences, be it religiously, culturally, beliefs, or anything, just loving people and respecting them for who they are. So that's why I'm saying religion is love, and love can't go without respect. So to me, religion is just love, and yeah, building a sense of security and safety and community. We can coexist from different religions, because for me, in all, we just have to love each other and respect each other.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah.
I feel like it's difficult though, because in some instances you'll find people who also, I think from like the chat now, it's like my definition of religion is different from your
Even from my
definition of
definition of
religion.
religion.
Because my definition of religion would be like we have Christianity, we have this, we have
Mm-hmm.
that, and it's like when I look at it like that, it's a thing of yes, it's based on love and it's based on
On
like
respect.
respect, but
Mm.
it becomes a problem now when people think try to impose their
Their beliefs
beliefs
on
on you, and I
you,
think
yes.
that's where the problem is, where it's like being religious means that I'm strict in my ways and
Yes.
I'm strict in the things that I do, and I'm not open to hearing what anybody else has to say. It's like what I believe is what everybody
Everybody
else
else
should
should
believe, and
believe.
I don't care what they believe and what their experiences have been. It only matters what I believe.
Yes.
And I feel like when it's like that, there is a sense of community, but there's also a sense of exclusion.
Exclusion.
It's like you are part of this community only if you follow their
These
rules and
kinds
their
of rules,
guidelines.
yes.
And it's like being a part of this community means that you do not communicate or you do not have relations
Mm-hmm.
with other communities, with other people in other religions. And I think that's where it's like it gets tricky, because we would like we when you look at all the religions, it's like we're all for God, we
Yes,
are all for
but
love because God is
is
love.
love
We just have different ways of getting to God,
and understanding
who God
who God
is.
is. We have
Yeah.
different ways. I feel like also the what you're saying is kind of the reason why I have learned to separate church from what I think religion is,
Mm-hmm.
because church comes with that. Church comes
Yeah.
with rules,
Yeah.
and church comes with, if you don't do it this way, then you're not doing it the correct way, or like
Mm.
that sense. So I've broadened my horizon into saying religion. This is a
Mm.
religion for me,
Yeah.
so I can fit in it without feeling like
You're
I'm not
restricted.
doing things the way I'm supposed to be doing
Mm.
them, you
Mm.
know, because I also believe in that my relationship with God is my relationship with God.
Yeah.
So involving other people sometimes might make it tricky, also in terms of like you start questioning God about a lot of
Mm.
things. When you have a relationship, the third person is always
Yeah.
a
It's like
hinder.
yeah. There
So that's
shouldn't
how
be.
I go about my relationship with God as well.
Mm.
Just the third person is a hinder.
Mm.
I do go to church when I do go to church, but I'm not a
A church
I can't
girly.
stand here and say this is my church
Mm.
and
Mm.
this is where I go to church or whatever, but I do believe in God and I practice and I have a relationship with God. I believe that I have a relationship with God, and my relationship with God is my relationship with God.
Mm.
I don't think I need a third person
Yeah.
in that relationship.
I feel like I have a relationship with God, and it took a very long time for me to have and to cultivate that relationship with God. And I still have struggles within that relationship. And the thing that I'm aware of, the thing that I was reminded of the other day is that I wouldn't have been able to cultivate this relationship with God had I not gone to church,
Okay.
had I not had the experiences that I had with church, because it's
Mm,
like
true.
maybe some experiences were not good and they were not nice, but
Yes.
they like it was a space
They
for me to
kind of
cultivate
led
a
you
relation.
to
Yeah, and it's like
seeing
the
God's
fact
true
that
nature.
I
Or
haven't been to church in such a long time, and like now I still I'm still able to maintain that same
yes, and you
relationship
still
even
feel
without
close
going to
to
church.
to
It's
God.
like
Yes.
I appreciate that. But like having people will say, "Oh, you need to have a sense of community to build and work on your relationship with God." Like a lot of people go with that.
That
And my
is
thing is, but my relationship with God is my
my relationship
relationship
with
with God.
God. Yes,
And like the
exactly.
way that you relate to God is the way that you relate to God. I think that the way that we relate to God is mostly based on the experiences that we've had in the world. And someone will have a different experience of God and they'll want to impose
Is that
that
on
onto
you?
you instead of
Yes.
allowing God to reveal himself
To
to you.
you,
It's like
yes.
you are saying that about God based on the experiences that you've
That
had.
you
And yes, we
had.
have the Bible to refer to, but mostly it's people who say, I've experienced God in this way, and
Way.
because I've experienced God in this way,
And also
I want to
people
push
have
that
also
onto
learned to
you.
use the Bible selfishly. Like
Yeah,
they've learned to use the Bible to kind of enforce their beliefs.
yeah,
As in
yeah.
like God supports what they're doing, even if it's like not necessarily 100% truthful,
Mm,
you know?
mm.
So yeah.
Because a person can just take a random scripture and they'll use it to back
And to
up
back up
whatever
with
that they want to
nonsense,
say. And
actually.
I don't think that is the will of God. And I think as people also we should be wise enough to like know the word for ourselves so that when those people
Yes.
come in with those scriptures we can say, but that's not what the
That's not
Bible
what
says.
the,
Like that's not the
yes,
full truth
exactly.
of what the Bible
That's
says.
not the essence of the verse.
Have you been in a situation where you've had friends with different beliefs than yours? Like who
No,
has different religions?
no, but I have been um in a position where I'm with friends. We have the same belief, like but we're going to different churches. That I feel like that's where it came to show that, you know what, actually we all for one God, but somehow somewhere we just
We
all
lose it.
we lose it, and
Mm,
we could like, it's like we kind of sort of supposed to have the same goal, but it seems like it's not it in terms of
mm.
action and in terms of how other people go about it in other churches.
I feel
And
like we might say that we have the same goal, but we
do
really
we
don't.
really?
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, like
it's also a thing of do we
yeah,
really?
because we can say that, oh, we're all for God, we're all for this, but then we forget
And
the
it's
character
also
of
like
God.
what do you want from God as people? Because some people go into this thing with what is expected from me, or
Mm,
like seeking guidance, and other people are like wanting God to do stuff for you. So you're putting
yeah,
yourself in a position where you are you think you are deserving of those things that you
yeah,
want him to do
like you
for
want
you.
to act righteously. And you know what? I think for me, like even in my church experience, I was that person who was like, I'm doing everything right, so I should
Yeah,
be able to get whatever that I want from the world. And it's like, it doesn't work like that
it
because when you do
doesn't.
those things, you don't do those things with the
With
intention of you want to get something. Like if you do
or
that, God can see
wholeheartedly,
your
it's just
heart.
it's like you're trading now
Yeah, and God can see the intentions of your heart that the only
mm,
reason why you're doing a certain thing is because
because you want
you want
this.
things. And when you do that, it's like you, how do you explain this? You feel entitled to the blessings of
Yes,
God because you're like, oh, I'm doing this. I'm doing, like, I'm not doing what other people are doing. I'm doing
doing.
this. And it's like, that's not the whole point, though.
And then then you want things to happen in your time, and you
In
want
your
things when you
way,
want it
you're
and
not
how
open
you
to
want it.
receiving
Yes,
what God wants to give you when He wants to give it to you.
yes.
And I do feel like the point I was saying about our relationships with God being based on our experiences. I feel like this is the way that I think about it. There's this thing that says the way you do one thing is how you do everything.
Mm-hmm.
And my thing that I say is if the way you do one thing is how you do everything, then the way you relate to one thing is how you relate
Relate
to
to other
everything.
things.
The
Okay,
way that you attach to one thing is the
is
way
how
you
you
attach
touch
to
to
everything
everything.
else. And I look at attachment theory and I think that my relationship with God, I see my attachment style playing out in my relationship
Relationship
with
with God.
God.
Okay.
So there's like three attachment styles: anxious, avoidant, and secure.
Mm-hmm.
Ne? And I'm anxious.
Okay.
And I have an anxious attachment style with people. Like I need constant reassurance to know what we're
Where's
doing,
or
where
where I
are we
stand in
going,
your life,
where
or
do
like,
yeah, where do
yeah,
I stand in your life, and like trusting that like if you say something you're gonna do it and
and you
all of
really
that, you
mean it.
really mean it. And I see that playing out in my relationship with God.
Mm-hmm.
That like I need that constant assurance
Sounds
from God. Like it's difficult for me to trust when God says if he says he's
mm,
gonna do something, he's really
he's
gonna
gonna
do
do
it.
it.
And I feel like in cultivating that relationship with God, I've had to like in my healing process, in my healing journey, I've had to be like, I see God. And it's like in me healing my attachment style, I also heal in my relationship with
With
God. And I
God.
ultimately
Mm.
heal in how I relate to other people and how I relate to things in the world. And but also that's something that I didn't learn from church per se. It was like it's something that I learned from being in my relationship with God, being like
Experience
fully
and
in,
being fully
yeah.
present in the
That's when
relationship.
I was
Yes.
able to receive, like, even I feel like I don't know church now because I haven't been to church in a long time, but like even just having a conversation about attachment styles and all of that and relating it to God, I feel like it would be difficult for me to do. But
Mm,
because of the personal relationship that I have
with God.
cultivated with God, it's like I can look into those things and God can heal me in that, and we can continue to build the relationship.
I also feel like in terms of my relationship with God, I feel like that's where I can say religion also kind of like brought me to a place where I'm now living my life purposefully. Like
Yeah,
I'm not just existing, I'm not just
yeah.
there.
Mm,
And also putting me in a place where I'm realizing my power and the talents that
mm,
I have and my
mm.
capabilities. So that's what's so beautiful about it.
I do feel that with me, like when I reconnected with God and my relationship with God, that's when I received a sense of purpose. Because you
Yes.
know those scriptures, and I think when I was like starting out, going all in, the things that were mostly preached to me was like, um, before I formed you in your mother's womb, I
I
knew
knew
you.
you.
And it's like those things that make you think that there has to be a reason
Reason
why
why
God
I'm
has brought me into this world, and
exactly
there has to be something that I'm here to fulfill. And it gives you that purpose. Also, like when you look at it, like you look at it from a sense of, I'm honoring what God
because it
gave
gave
me.
me,
Like
yes.
God gave me this voice,
And
God
also
gave
in
me these
order to know what
abilities.
those things are, you need to be
You have to
close
have
to
a
God,
relationship with God, and He'll show. Because sometimes you look at it and you think, I don't think that's a talent.
Yeah.
But when you have those conversations with God, He'll show you that I made you this way for a reason. There's a
Reason
reason why you do things the way that you do them. There's a reason why you show up in the world the
the
way
way
that
you
you show
do,
up.
yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like if people would take their relationship with God seriously and
Mhm.
learn that in all things God is love, man, I feel like
Yeah.
that would teach us to be a little less judgmental.
I feel like it's hard
And
though.
it is hard, but I feel
Mm.
like He makes way. He shows you the way
You
also,
know,
and God is he's teaching, man. He's
mm,
teaching.
I
So
feel like
you
you have that image of God. I have that image
image
of
of
God.
God.
Most people, or some people, have an image of God where He's about rules
Who's
and there's
yeah.
strict things
I feel like
set
he
in
teaches
place.
most of the time and he
Mm,
guides you and
mm.
he's patient also.
He is. He
He's
really is.
patient. It's hard to I feel like it would be hard to lead or try to do a lot of things without the concept of love and respect,
Mm,
you know?
mm,
Because that kind of makes things easier, a lot of
mm.
things easier.
And when you know that you are loved by God, it's a thing of, even if I fail, I'm still gonna be loved by
You
God.
know,
God's love for me is not based on the things that I do. It's like if I fail, it's like God can still use that for my
you
good.
know, and it's
Yeah.
not a one last
No,
chance
like
thing with God,
we'll
you
keep
know.
trying, we'll
We're
keep
gonna
showing
keep
up.
doing this thing until we get it right.
I feel like my concept of God, I've always been that type of girl who's like, I believe in God, I believe in Jesus. But I don't think I really did. I feel like in the earlier years, like when I was growing up,
You
the
didn't
question,
understand it really.
I think I did. I think the question in society, not the question that I had, but I know that
Mm,
the question that people had at the time, well, the people around me, the question that people had was, is God real? Like, is God alive?
okay.
Like, is there really a
Is there
God
really
out
a
there
God out there?
somewhere? And I feel like now people do believe that God is there, but people don't believe that He's good.
Okay.
I know for me, it's like I've always believed that God is there. And I feel like to some extent, I've believed that God is good, but I haven't believed that God is good to me.
To you,
It's
okay.
like He is God and He shows up for people, but I don't see how He has shown
Shown
up
up
in my
for
life. Even
me.
in instances where He has shown up, it's like for me, this was what I needed. And I
Mm,
don't feel like and it's not even a thing of like I needed it and like an object.
or
It was
physical
a thing
things.
of but also I didn't articulate that. Like it could
Mm,
have been a thing of I felt like I needed the object, whereas I needed assurance. I needed to know that God
mm.
was with me. And maybe He did show me that He
That
was
he
with
was
me,
there,
but
but
I
you
was focused on I want
want
the object.
okay.
My thing is people say like we shouldn't do this, that like, oh, if God was there, then why did this happen? Me, even somebody who was like in the church, I still had those
Those
questions of, and like
questions.
even now, I don't think it's a thing of, I think I mentioned this in the last episode. I'm like, God, why didn't you find me worthy?
Mm.
Or like, why did you think I deserved this? It's not a thing of like, if you are there, why is this
Why
happening?
is this
It's a
thing
thing
happening?
of, why did you think that I deserve to? Because I don't think he thinks I deserve. It's
Deserve
just that
that.
those
It's
things happen, and
just.
I'm like, I don't deserve this. So then,
Mm.
God, why do you think that I deserve to have this thing happening
To
in my
me.
life at this moment? And I feel like the more that I have looked into my childhood, and the more that I've looked into the way that I relate to my guardians, I've been able to see that I have related to God in the same
In the
ways
same
that
way
I've
that you
related
did
to my
with Job.
guardians. And it's in the sense of like, if my guardians didn't do something for me, I assume that God didn't want to do the
Then
thing for me. It's like
okay.
I assume that
He was always at the main,
at the
the
center
one
of
you
everything.
held accountable for. If
Yeah, and it's
okay,
like, if they're treating me this way, I assume that
he's allowing
that's,
it.
yeah, and it's how he sees me. Like the same way that
Okay.
my guardians treat me is the same way that God treats me.
Yeah,
And I've
makes
had to
sense.
learn that that's not the case.
Mm.
But it's hard to
It's hard to
accept.
learn then to get there also.
And even in my journey, I've got to a point where I was like, God, why are you revealing yourself to me in this way now? Why didn't you reveal yourself to me like that when I was a child? And I
Mm.
felt like I
You
needed
felt
that.
like you needed it the
And I'm like,
most.
is it because I exist in different spaces now that you are revealing yourself to me in this way? Like, why didn't you reveal yourself to me back
Also,
then?
you could ask him. I feel like even in the spaces that you were in, it's possible that he would have revealed himself and you still wouldn't have seen him,
People say
and you
that,
found
and yeah,
yourself now in a position where it's like, now if I really reveal myself to you, you're actually gonna be able to
I
see.
can and even that, it's like now I can receive God. I can
Mm.
receive the goodness of God, because you know what, I think about this a lot now. Like they always talk about this in the church, that you're a spirit having a human experience.
Mm-hmm.
And like the thing that I tell myself now, because I've found myself feeling not worthy, I found myself feeling like God does not see me like he sees other people. He doesn't see me. God shows up for other people. He doesn't show up for me. And I've like had that thing of like, why not me? Like, why do you not show up
Mm.
for me, but you show up for other people? And I think the way that I think about it now is that I am an eternal being,
Yes.
and I am that spirit, and that spirit is from God, and I am of God.
Mm.
And I feel like in all of that, when I came into this world, I forgot that. That thing was wiped off of my
Off of you.
memory.
Mm.
And I've had experiences that have tried to suppress that knowledge, or to
Okay.
make me not
Yes.
think about
Makes
that
sense.
knowledge. But as I'm progressing now, I'm like, I am an eternal being. And those things that have tried to make me feel unworthy or undeserving, they are wrong. They are trying to make me forget that I'm an
You.
eternal being,
Yes.
and I'm a child of God.
Mm.
And in as much as everybody else is worthy, I'm also
Also
worthy. Like,
worthy.
God's love for me is not limited to the experiences
It's
that
the.
I've had. Like, it's like in the same way that everybody else is able to experience the love of God, I'm
Mm.
also able to experience the love of God. If only I go back to the point that I am an eternal being, and the experiences that I've had do not define me. It's like my worth is not found in the experiences that I've had. If anything,
Mm.
I feel like the experiences that I've had have tried to strip me away, to strip away my worth. But as
Amen.
I am in that journey with God, I'm like, I remember that I am worthy.
And
Like at the core
yes,
of who I am, like it doesn't matter my background, it doesn't matter that like I have a degree, I
you
do
do
this, I do
this.
that. It's like at the core of who I am. Like even if I
You
wasn't doing
are
all of
worthy,
those
and you've
things,
always been worthy.
I am like at the core of me and the person that God has created me to be. I am worthy. And I feel like I understand now when people say you don't have to do anything to earn the love of God.
God,
Like you don't have
yes.
to be like, oh, I have to do this
It's
for
not
God. I have to serve.
conditional.
It's like
It's
I
not
am loved
conditional.
no matter what I do.
Yes.
Like it doesn't matter what I do. I am loved by God because I am an eternal being, and everything else has just been experiences that have wiped that away from my mind.
Mm.
And it comes with having like that relationship with
With God,
God.
it
Yeah.
all just boils down to the relationship.
Yeah.
Because without the relationship, I don't think a lot of things would be shown to you or you would see.
Because I feel like even in my prayer, and I sometimes I'm like, no, I need to be. We used to call it ukvuta, like it's
Mm-hmm.
like when we're on fire and you're like
Yeah.
And I used to be not like praying like consistently, but like praying when when you're praying and
Be
you're shouting
powerful and you're
and you're
shouting and you're
fire,
like
like all of that. And I'm not that.
I
In my
can't do that
relationship with
even.
God, like
Mm-mm.
I when I'm in my prayer sessions
I
with
feel like
God,
also if we were all like that, then we will all be capable of being pastors. We'd all just
yeah,
be able to
yeah.
open up churches everywhere.
But for me, it's like
Our purposes are different.
I don't like maybe back then I would have thought, oh my God, this person is so on fire for God because of the way that they pray and how they're
Mm.
shouting. But now, like when I just see someone conversing with God, because I feel like that thing of futa and like all of that, it's like you're putting a performance
Up.
for God.
And who's supposed to see that?
Exactly. But like when you have cultivated that, and I'm not saying like people who pray
Who?
like that are putting up
Oh
a
no no
performance
no
for
no
God.
no
It's
no.
like for
For
me, I
you
used to think like
personally, when
that
you saw it, and also you feel like if you were to do that way,
it
it
would
would
be a
be a
performance. Because
performance.
I'm like,
Yes,
when I'm in my space and I speak with God, like I'll talk to God about anything and everything.
everything.
And I like tell him that this is how this thing made me feel. I didn't like it. It made me feel like you were
Mm.
not there. Maybe like it made me feel like I don't know, like I just tell God like exactly how it happened and exactly how it made me feel.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm like, maybe I shouldn't be doing that. Like maybe I should just like be futtering and like be breaking generational curses
Because
in my
it's
brain. But I feel like even in like those sit down conversations, I'm still breaking generational
you
curses.
are,
I'm still like
and
cultivating
you're
that
growing
relationship
in
with God.
that
Yeah,
also.
yeah. Ooh, and I am thinking of a moment that I had. Um, and I think that's the beauty. I feel like I have so much joy when I'm in the presence of God and I'm telling God something and He speaks
Mm.
back to me.
Yes.
There's a distinct thing where it's like I know that's not me. It can only be God. And I feel like it's because of the joy that I will feel in those moments where I was thinking, I was praying, like I wasn't like praying when I was just like talking to God, busy
Yeah.
with my stuff. And I said, God, I feel like I'm ready to receive. Like
Mm.
I feel like I wanna get all that you have in store for me. And he said, you need to let go of the pain and the trauma that you have.
Mm.
And I haven't given you the things that you want because if I give you the things that you want, you're gonna think that I'm making up for the
For those,
trauma
okay.
that you had,
Yeah.
whereas it's blessings that you had, even if you didn't go through the
Through
trauma
that.
that you went. And
Okay.
it's I like he gave me an analogy of, you know, when you're a child and your mom or your parent does something that you don't like,
Mm.
and they'll buy you a stock suit. Like they
Okay.
won't apologize.
Yeah.
They just give you a
Just
suit
yes,
and
and you must know
you
that. Okay,
forget.
this
Yeah,
is
and it's like it's a thing of like you must forget that the incident happened and God is like, I don't want that for you. Like that's not the type of father that I
I
am.
am.
It's like I want you to know
This
that
has always been yours. This was always your
exactly like
purpose, and it's
it was
just
gonna happen for you. And I think even the Sarah Jakes was speaking about this, that like it's called the title of the sermon is Go Glory Triggers.
mm,
And she was saying that like God told her that even if you hadn't been pregnant at age 13, you still would have been the preacher that you
that you
are
are
today. It's
today.
that like that thing wanted you to forget
So
your
that's
purpose and make you feel
that
unworthy
is
of your
why that
purpose.
it didn't change. Even the fact that you were
Yeah,
pregnant didn't change the fact that
that
you
you are
are a preacher
preaching
today.
today. But I also feel like if I was going to church, I would have been looking at other people's relationships with God and I would have been feeling like I want my relationship with God to be like that. And it's like,
I
it's
feel
all
like that's
external.
one of the reasons I haven't gone to church for the longest time. But I feel
Mm.
like now I'm in a place where if I were to go to church,
Mm.
it wouldn't be as easy as to get lost as it was like
Yeah,
when I was still
before,
growing in
yeah.
faith. Yeah.
Mm. I sometimes do think of going to church, and sometimes I just know it's not gonna work.
Yeah, I think
But I
it's
think
a
about
you
it.
must feel it also.
Mm.
Just you don't just wake up and go to church because you're going to
Yeah,
church. No.
but you know, some people will say and it's like, but I feel like it's different with prayer than going to church because people will say if you're not going to church, there's something that's forcing you to not go to church,
Church.
type of thing. Like in the same way that they say, or if you are not wanting to pray, there's a spirit that's like
That's
causing
causing
you
you not to want to
to,
pray.
and it's like people will say with church, even you must fight that spirit, and you must go to church. Because I've had like even a guy friend of mine who was saying that he had a moments where he didn't want to go to church and he forced himself to go to church, and when he did go to church, he was so happy afterwards, and he realized why there was a thing fighting for him not to go to church. But I'm like,
but I feel like also we know, men, in the space that we are in, you can't go to church to go watch people again. Like, what is your place in church when you go to church? Like, you can't go to church and go feel lost. I feel like it's also a waste. If you go, it should feel right. You should be able to be feeling what the people that you are watching are feeling. Not don't watch them and say like, but now my relationship with God is weak now
it's
because
like,
I don't pray like that.
But it's like you don't know what people do
behind closed doors. It's like I don't pray like that, or I want to be on her level, or and it's just like that shouldn't be it when you go to church.
I had bumped into this lady in the elevator, in the lift, and she was going to church. So I know her, like I said hi to her this one time, got into the lift, and I said, "Oh, you're going to church?" It was a Sunday. "Oh, you're going to church?" And she's like, "Yeah." And she asked me if I go to church, and I said, "I used to, I don't anymore." And I told her, like, I used to go to church when I was in varsity. And she said, "Oh, so now you got your degree and you don't want to go to church anymore." I'm like, that's typical church culture.
Yes.
Like, for you to just assume that I don't go to church anymore because
you don't even know
like,
the depth as to why does
you don't know me, like, for you. And I was like, when I bump into her again, I'm gonna tell her like the reason why I don't go to church anymore is because, like, you can't just assume that I got what I wanted and now I don't want to go to church anymore.
Not all of us get the same experience of church, guys. And it's I mean it's I guess it's, we can't say it's okay, but I feel like it takes a lot to realize that this is not working for me, or this is, as much as it might seem like you are not going to church is bad, but like for you to have come to that realization that this, or not just church as a whole, like this particular church is not working for me, it takes a certain, I feel like it also takes a level of connection with God to know that this is not right, as a sort of, we can say, spirit of discernment, you know, being able to see what is right and what is wrong within the faith, or within, you know, so it's not easy for you to be led astray. I feel like these are the kind of things that causes for there to be cults and all these funny different things, is because we are not strong in our faith and in our belief, and if you're not strong in your faith and in your relationship with God, you're not going to be able to see the stuff that he shows you. You know, like, you're going to be weak in terms of discernment and being able to choose what is right for you and what is wrong for you.
And I struggled with that, like, even when God told me that it's not working out, I was like, no ways.
Because it's this thing of people telling you that this is the way of religion, this is the way of the third person in your relationship with God. It kind of was leading you astray, you know. Then you find yourself in these positions where now it's like you go back to blaming God. Like, how do you allow this to happen to me, where you are constantly just putting yourself in these situations and testing God's patience, and then come and say, but why do you do this to me, or how do you allow such things to happen? And it's just like, when he's been showing you the light, by the time you withdraw, like, have time with yourself and God, that's when you will be able to see all these things and realize. But when you just, like, you make time for God in places that he's not there, so how is he able to, how is he gonna reach you? How is he gonna reach you in those places? When are you going to this place and you feel like you don't feel the spirit of God in this place, but you give it so much time and you expect him to show up in that place for you and come and say, no, this is not for you. You know, like, you go to this church and you feel like this church is not right, but you are there Monday to Saturday, you're there in the morning, you're there in the afternoon, you're never alone in your space and say, God, it's me and you now, let's talk, you know.
I feel like you're talking to me. Like, I feel that because I can look back at my experience and I can see that.
And I feel like without our experiences, we wouldn't have been in a position to say, how would you have known that that is wrong if you didn't experience it? Or how would you, you know, it's also kind of building us to be stronger for the future, you know, when you find yourself in situations like this again, which I think it would be hard to find yourself in those situations again.
When I was in a situation and somebody said, you should be glad it happened now and not later when you're working, I couldn't receive that. for me, it's like it didn't have to happen in the first
At
place.
all.
Like, why did it have to
Yes.
happen? But I think I am gonna get to a point where I'm like, okay, I see now why it
Why it
happened
happened
then and not now, because maybe I wouldn't have been able to handle it now in the way that I handled it
back then.
back then.
Yes.
And I think that's the grace of God, like the
Mm.
timing that He allows things to happen in our lives. It's like, I've got you covered. Even when you make mistakes,
Mistakes.
it's like my grace will be able to make
Yes.
up for those mistakes.
That's you'll be able to see that this love is unconditional.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, because
But also the concept of unconditional love.
it's very heavy also
Yeah.
on you to a point where sometimes you feel guilty.
Because it's like,
You feel guilty
how?
because how do you
Oh
find
my
me worthy of all this love,
God.
and where I constantly put myself in these situations where I
Hmm.
feel like you shouldn't be loving me still, and you are
Someone used to say, like, she would just wish sometimes that God would strike her with lightning, because it's like,
like
I've
just
messed up so
so bad,
much.
like just
Why are you
do
still showing up for me
something.
in the way
Yeah,
that you show up for me? I didn't like it though, because to me it made me feel like God is the type of God to strike people with
with
lightning,
lightning,
and it's like it's not.
but then
It's not.
he continues to
To
like
show
show us
up.
that that's not who I am, or
Mm,
that's not the kind of God that I am.
yeah.
Yeah, man, I feel like this episode was a bit, I don't know, I just hope we were able to shed some light.
Yeah.
I feel like in all our episodes we just wish that we gave someone something to take home
Yeah.
and think about, and someone appreciates our point of views in things like this, especially to the people who suggest the topics themselves. I
Yeah.
hope that when they get to watch us share the point of views on the topics that they suggest, that they are happy with what we do give.
You know what's crazy?
Mm?
He's actually of a different religion. That's why I was
Wow.
shocked. Like, that's why I was
Okay.
shocked when he said, I want to
You
hear a
want to
topic on it.
hear a
I was like,
topic about this?
okay, we can do that. And I think you guys should, I feel like this should be a conversation,
Yes.
and like, feel free to comment and share your experience. I feel like even in DMs, like if you feel
Yeah,
like
cause
you can't comment publicly but you've had an experience and you want to share it with us, you can send us a DM to say, this is what I thought and this has been my experience, and we'll
we
engage
will
and we'll
engage.
grow.
I feel like
Maybe,
we are looking forward to having the conversations with you
yeah,
guys.
maybe we missed something in this conversation and you feel like you want to contribute to that. We'd really appreciate it, Manny, because like, even I feel like we've established strong enough relationships with God that if somebody says something to us that we do not appreciate, we can like
We can
say,
say it.
it's like, it's okay, it doesn't work
It
for my
doesn't work.
relationship
Yeah,
with God.
it's
But just
just
to know that people have
this
had
is how
different
you are,
experiences
or
with
yeah, this
God.
is your experience, and this is yeah. And
Yeah.
we are on all our social media platforms are
Yeah.
active, by
Oh
the
yeah,
way.
actually, yeah.
Facebook, Instagram, TikTok now, we
Yeah.
TikTok babies as well. So yeah, you can reach out, and also please engage with the content that we put out there as well. We are
mm,
there also for the comments there. We
mm,
are ready to engage you guys, and just my point of view underscore
yeah.
just my POV on TikTok, and underscore just my point of view on Instagram, and just my point of view on Facebook. Do
I
watch
love how
out
you
for us.
know the handles, like you've got them on
This is
lock.
what we do, baby. Yeah, but yes, we look forward to engaging with you guys.
Yeah.
Otherwise, do have yourselves a lovely day,
Evening,
morning, or
day,
evening,
wherever you
whatever
are.
time it is
Yeah.
that you are watching. And yeah, thank you guys. Bye bye.
Bye.